Yo creo que tenemos unos 5 minutos para preguntas.
Sí, si alguien quiere hacer una pregunta.
Si alguien quiere hacer alguna consulta. Solo me gustaría puntualizar algo que mencionó Daniel, que es el raw data. El raw data es la data original que tiene Google Analytics y esa data no se puede modificar. Algunas veces cuando hemos hecho esta presentación y en algún otro seminario, la principal preocupación es decir, o sea, ¿puedo cambiar mis datos? No, solo puedo complementar datos. Lo importante, yo diría para finalizar y darle el paso a Stefan, es uno, ser ordenado, ser muy ordenado. Dos, tener un template de creación de un URL builder que les permita tener una sola marcación consolidada. Ya les decía Daniel, si ustedes marcan un medio con mayúscula y otro con minúscula, por más que ustedes quieran marcar el mismo medio, en Analytics van a ser dos medios distintos. Y evidentemente eso va a complicar mucho la importación. Entonces, hoy día es posible hacer analítica web de los medios externos que no enlazan costo. Sin embargo, se necesita método, se necesita orden y, por supuesto, análisis, que es el objetivo de lo que estamos haciendo. Vale, gracias, Daniel. Stefan, thank you. Again. Stefan nos va a mostrar integración offline a través de measureme protocol. ¿Qué es measureme protocol? Muy resumido, es la capacidad que nos da Analytics de inyectarle datos desde cualquier lugar. Abro esta puerta y podría inyectarle un hit. Hay un generador, and I can hit in Analytics.
Hey, hi everybody, and welcome to the afternoon session. Thanks for providing so much detail about the data report. I think that was really useful. So Krista earlier today mentioned something about generating a universal view of truth. And so I think that's really one of the motivators to build something that allows better data integration in Google Analytics. We have spoken a lot today about offline conversion data and how important it is to make business decisions on all your conversion data. Right? Many businesses have either only offline conversion data or a mix of online and offline conversion data. So we built a feature in Google Analytics, which is called the measureme protocol, to upload that. And I want to walk you through how this works. So this all starts again with our pathway to conversion, the fact that this pathway can grow more complex, and that we wanted to import relevant shopping data and tie it together with the data that we know of our offline users, right? So the real key here is to say, is there a part of our conversion path that we can associate with the in-store transaction, right? That's the whole thing. And why do we want to do this? I think, I gave a couple of stats earlier in my presentation in the morning, but really what we can see here is that there's an overwhelming amount of influence from our digital marketing, our digital presence onto that in-store behavior. Right? There's a lot of evidence that people are using online media channels, they're using digital devices, they're using digital content to enrich their in-store purchases. And so, for instance, they said here 42% of retail sales are somewhat online influenced, right? Which means someone was online and collected some information that was relevant to them when they showed up in store. So for us as marketers, it's really important to tie those things. That's another incredible stat. Basically, percent of consumers who visit the store within the day of that online interaction, of that search, right? And so on tablet we have 34, and then on smartphone, and I quoted that earlier today, 50% of users search online. Then later, in the same day, visit a store. It's just an incredible stat. So how does the measurement protocol work? What is it? Let's define it, right? Measurement protocol is the de facto way of getting data, offline data, into Google Analytics. Right? And so even the data import that was presented just a couple of minutes ago in the back end uses the measurement protocols to process the data files that get uploaded. So that's the standard language in which you can speak to Google Analytics in such a way that it maintains the integrity of the data and it ties together those relevant tables. So I'll wrap this around a neat little example of a retail store. I've given you some of the high-level stats about that already today, and I'll also go into much more detail. So I'm going to start with our customer, in that the customer has exposure to the e-commerce side and a retail side. And so these two activities, the customer looks for a location, and then the customer actually walks up to that location, is something that is very easy for us to understand. Now on the web activity side, you hopefully will have analytics tracking installed, right? And as Krista outlined earlier today, we have our tracking code that generates data on the Google Analytics servers, and will give you that data back in the form of pretty Google Analytics reports. So that part is very easy, it's very consistent. Now, how does it look like on the offline side? On the offline side, most of offline advertisers and marketers use some form of CRM database to track all this. So that's also very easy. So within both of these sides, there's a great deal of consistency, but now the big question is how can we get one data, which is our offline interaction data, into Google Analytics? That is really the core of what our measurement program is. It's getting the data from the CRM system into the Google Analytics backend in that medium. So let's open up this box and see what we need for the implementation of Google Analytics. So there's a couple of pieces which are owned by the person or the company that owns the CRM data, so the advertiser. That's our non-Google side over here. And then there is a part which Google owns, which is our API. And I'll go into more detail in what that means. But essentially, the way that you're going to start with all of this is you generate your data extract from your CRM system that you carry. You have offline conversions that are generated by your users. You can bring them in a shape that allows you to send that data as HTTP hits through the API back to the Google Analytics network. And I'll get to the point how to get that data, formulate it in the right way, get the right user ID, and how we actually send it to the GPU. But these are the basic components of what we need to do. Now, I want to be clear that the CRM extract that basically takes the data, takes the right user ID, formats the data in the right way, is something that is owned by the owner of the Google Analytics implementation by the advertiser. This is not something that Google owns. Right? What we basically own is the way that you receive that data. So very similar to the way that you formulated the data file, as was explained in the previous presentation. In this case, you will formulate your data through an extract report that would send the hits back to Google. So this is the basic data format of how such a request looks like. Right? This is the basic information that needs to be provided for Google Analytics conversion. When you send it through the HTTP request back to the Google Analytics. We have a great team. They're called the Google Analytics developer team. And those guys are basically in charge of the APIs. They're in charge of the measurement protocol, in charge of all the technical details here. They built something called the Hit Builder tool. So I have the URL out there. You'll also find it if you search for Hit Builder on the Analytics tool. What this tool does, it allows you to formulate this through a UI, through a simple form, so you can play around with it, you can engage. Now, one of the key components of this, as you can see below, here we go. So you have a flag here that basically sets this hit that you're sending as a non-interaction. And this is really important to know. Basically, the hits that you send from external, they do not count as website visits. So your website visits will be unaffected by your external conversion, which is something that's really important. And then the event category would be an offline conversion, it's an online lead in this case, and it has a value of €300. So this is sort of the basic construct, the basic skeleton of what we need to put in to set it. So let's look at one client example. I really want to make sure that we'll understand how this can generate value. So here is another, or here's the case study again that I mentioned earlier today, Galleria again. So they have 65 department stores. They have about 1 million physical visitors per day, right? And they've been voted a pretty decent retailer, right? The key piece here to throw into the mix with the measurement protocol. The measurement protocol is great, but at this point we have one thing missing. Anybody want to take a stab at what we're missing? User ID. We need to find that user ID, right? That's the key point. We have conversions in our CRM system, we have all kinds of activity in our Google Analytics account, but we do not know yet how these relate to one another. So Galleria Lafayette used their loyalty program as a common denominator. So people who use their web properties, they sign in to experience a better website, a better online store, better offers. Similar to Amazon, you browse it when you're not logged in, but you generally log in. And then they use that same identification on the loyalty card side to check out. Right? That's our common user development. Let's walk through what they basically did using the measurement protocol. So the first thing is they track authenticated customers browsing online. That's a key piece. So the key piece is that there needs to be some form of identifier that you can use both on the online site as well as on the CRM side, right? In our case, they track these authenticated users. So we see here in our conversion path, right? You see multiple devices being used, but every time our users are logged in to these devices. So that's the path that we stitch together. And you can see that this is normal Google Analytics tracking. But what we also get here is we actually going to save that user ID, right? We're going to save the user ID that's on the real Lafayette contains as part of their online site. Right? So when a user logs in, Google Analytics allows you to take that authenticated ID, the non-PII ID, right, and send it to the Google Analytics back to say, don't use the GA cookie. Use me, I'm a user ID. So that's what they implement. So every time you log in, they'll send that user ID to the GA server. Right? And once a user would come to the store location to use their loyalty card, right, and basically go down and send that data to the CRM system, they would have that same ID that would allow them to send a conversion through the measurement protocol that's stitched to that online ID. Right? It's important to understand that the ID that is coming from our loyalty card is the same ID that is used when a user logs in onto the web. That's the way that this works. So that's how they can tie together that path. Now, it is clear that this user has other interaction points here where they're not logged in. There's a part of the exposure path that we cannot track. And that's the reality. So we will need to make sure we generate some form, some better form of a data picture, but there's still pieces which are missing. So those were some of the results that they've seen. An increase in in-store transactions, an increase in ROI. They basically saw that it does influence the offline conversion behavior, the online activities, specifically on the mobile phone. There was a big increase here, 20%. Finally, that 2.4x of ROI that they have received from tying together those online interaction points with that offline So I want to take a stab and walk you through the internals of how the measurement protocol in this case is set. There's really two ways that you can come up with a user rate. And I think that serves a crux of the story. So let's go back to our picture here, where we have our CRM abstract. We formulate our hit that we can use a hit builder for that if we want to send that in as an HTTPS request to the GA. So how in this picture are we going to generate a consistent user ID that we have both from the website as well as in our offline CRM system? There's really two ways. So the first way is to use the Google Analytics ID that is generated when a user visits your website. So let me walk you through this flow. The user comes to your website. A Google Analytics ID is associated with that Google, right? The user submits a form, logs in, creates an account, executes any activity that touches your backend. When that activity happens, you store the data that the user submits in the form. You store all their information about their registration. And what you also store from today onwards, their GA ID. So you take that cookie ID as part of that form submission and start writing it into your CRM database. What you generate with that, you generate a data pool in your CRM database that when you call that user, or when you send that user an email, or when that user comes to your store location, you now have their GA ID associated with a subsequent offline activity. Right? And that data, Google Analytics can understand. That's our number 3. So once you create that data that is associated with your GA ID, you can send that back to the measurement protocol as part of, make it part of the Google Analytics. So that's the first way, which is using the Google Analytics, Now, in the example of Galleria Lafayette, what they were doing is they used their own user ID. So instead of using the Google Analytics generated GA ID, they said, well, my users have an ID, and I want to use that. So what happens here is that you need to train, or need to equip your web application with the ability to write that user ID as part of their regular GA traffic. So again, typically when the GA tag fires, it writes the Google Analytics generated ID. But what you can do is you can actually change that code so it writes more. So if the user registers, what you will send to the Google Analytics backend is not the GA ID, but it's the non-PII user ID that it can generate. And Krista gave a really good example about that, which is that I actually hashed the user's ID. It sent it as a custom variable. Right? Now think about that. You do the same thing, you hash their ID, but you can send it directly as the native user ID into the Google Analytics. So no workaround with a custom dimension. You directly say, hey Google Analytics, I have a better user ID for that hit. So your web property tracking is captured now, generated data pool here that understands the user ID that you already store in your CRM system, right? So basically, instead of training your CRM system on the Google Analytics ID, you train Google Analytics on your user ID, right? So that feature is called user ID override. So with that feature, you can now basically take all your CRM data, send it to Google Analytics, and if that user ID is present in the Google Analytics backend, it will be tied together. So how does this look in practice? This is the full picture of here about step by step what we're doing on the Google Analytics. So there is going to be situations where users are basically browsing and touching your marketing activities for which we do not have visibility because we do not have them logged in, right? So only when they're logged in, we can identify our user ID feature, and then we can let Google Analytics know that this is now
sepa
coming
que
from a
ahora
certain
esto
user
viene de
that we
cierto
know.
usuario que nosotros sí
On the store
conocemos.
side,
Y por
we'll
el lado de
take
la
that
tienda vamos a
information,
tomar esa
we'll
información,
use that
se va a
user
usar
ID
esa
that we
información del
formulated
usuario
for
que
web tracking
formulamos para
and
la
generate our
web y
offline
generar
hidden data file. Right? That data file
y
you'll
ese
process and
archivo
you
de
send
datos se
back
procesa y
into
se manda
the Google
nuevamente
Analytics
a Google
database.
Analytics, a
And
la
with that,
base
you
de
can
datos. Y
generate
con eso se puede generar
a path to
un
conversion
trayecto a la
that
conversión
includes
incluida
all the
toda
information
la
that you know
información
of this user,
información de tu
plus their
usuario,
offline.
más todo el conveniente de la conversión.
Okay, so what's our goal with all of this? We want to measure momentum store effects for our digital marketing using Google Analytics. What's the method that we're applying? We're using Google Analytics measurement protocol. That's the standard for sending data. You can do this in free GA, free universal analytics, and GA premium also. And I think what we've seen over and over, and this is really exciting actually, is that your online activity does influence your offline activity, right? So it's been, there's been research efforts within Google, there have been client case studies like the fact is that time and time again, you actually see value in having online activity targeting offline behavior. For you to generate a data set, hopefully give you numbers that you can associate with how effective. Okay, thanks.
Yo creo que tenemos 5 minutos para alguna pregunta, si alguien tiene. Definitivamente.
Are there any questions?
Yeah,
totally,
question?
absolutely.
Do you have any question? Well, I want to give you a question, but I
Sure.
prefer to do it in Spanish. Because we have the translation. I want to know, or only highlight about the. Thank you. Only highlight about the personal information, because obviously it's a concern about people.
So the CII.
Yeah, I would like to share with us your focus about how we can work with user ID without go through the personal information.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I think the key point is to basically make an information that in itself is not privacy, is not able for us to identify the individual. Right. So if it's an email address, that's sort of a universal PII that you'll be able to see and you'll be concerned with, because most of them have the name and sort of a universal thing. If it's some form of social security number going for bid, that would be crazy. Now, if it's sort of a loyalty card item, right, that is already obfuscated in some way, that only the company knows, that is not sort of third party identifiable, then you're probably in a big spot. If you can hash that on top of it, that would be even better. So it's as simple as it looks like a random string, and that's it. So yeah, that's all I can say. Is really to use what you have and sort of get far away from something that looks like PNG.
That's where we're going to highlight that because it's a concern of the people.
Sure.
About the user ID. Quisiera solo comentar, only to comment about the Google launch and opt-out and opt-out people. I mean, si ustedes no quieren ser contabilizados por Google Analytics, Google Analytics lanzó junto con Universal Analytics una herramienta que les permite hacer opt-out, de tal forma que nunca los contabiliza. Es decir, al mismo tiempo que debemos procurar la información personal de los usuarios, existe la oportunidad o la posibilidad de darle al usuario la posibilidad de no ser cambiado por Google Analytics. Esa es una funcionalidad que está habilitada desde Universal Analytics. I want to tell them that this is right now a special tool to opt out the tagging in Google Analytics, and you can select if you don't want to be tagged. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you for sharing.